Hello everyone, my name is Zenitsu and I'm back with another Digimon video. Recently we just got announced by 401 Games. They posted a listing for the 4th Digimon booster set. So previously we didn't really know what was going to happen with the English version of the game after 1.5 because obviously the in quotation marks intended goal of 1.0 and 1.5 was to get us caught up to Japanese Booster 3 as quickly as they possibly can. At least this is what we thought going into it, and now we know the release date and the fact that we are done with special boosters going forward is just something really interesting to think about because of just what this kind of means. So this means that 3 months after Special Booster 1.5, we are going to be getting BT04 Great Legends. So if we look at the product description that they have, basically the description of the set is the exact same as Japanese. The size of the set and everything is the exact same as Japanese. The only difference is our packs are still going to be 12 cards per pack. So I don't know if that just means that our cards are going to be easier or harder to pull, or what that really means. It's just something really interesting to think about because of just this big change and what this change means for the English market. So hopping over to the Japanese page, obviously we could see that, like I said before, everything in terms of the contents of the booster is going to be the same. We're just getting 12 cards per pack instead of 6 cards per pack like Japan is. But one really important thing to look at is kind of just the time framing on everything and to the current state of the world, and kind of just piecing the puzzle on like what's happening or what's going to be happening. So looking at the very quick timeline of the TCG, we have over in May of 2020 that Japan gets their first booster set. Then in July they get their second, October they get their third, and December they get their fourth. So Japan is moving at every about 2.5 months, and I kind of already covered this in a video, but it's just a good quick recap. And the English market, what we're doing is in November we got our pre-sale, and then in January we get our official launch. And then in February we get 1.5, and then when we get 1.5, Japan is getting their booster set 5. So if we're kind of just following the timeline of everything we know, that means that in May, we're getting our 04, which Japan already has. So Japan at this time is probably going to be getting their 06. So we're going to be operating at about 2 sets behind Japan, which isn't necessarily that uncommon for Japanese card games to have like an OCG and a TCG, where the OCG is just ahead of the TCG. But based on just looking at this type of information, we could kind of infer what kind of should have happened if the game had released more smoothly and the pandemic didn't kind of just muddle all of the releases. So I actually think that the November pre-sale should have been the official 1.0 launch for the English language, and they kind of just slapped the pre-sale because the pre-sale was supposed to be the initial launch, but they just couldn't get the supply out. So that's just kind of what I think happens because like it gives 1.0 enough time to breathe for 1.5 to come out in February, and then 3 months later we get BT04. So this timeline just kind of makes sense in terms of like how and when they're releasing things. And obviously Japan is just going to be marching to the beat of its own drum, doing its own thing, and we were just never intended to be caught up, and we're always just going to be behind because, you know, that's just the nature of like OCG and TCG, which is a little bit unfortunate and a little bit disappointing considering they did have an opportunity to catch us up at least a little bit more than they are. So I would have preferred to be maybe 1 set behind instead of 2 to 3 sets behind, depending on how Japan releases their stuff, but what can you do? But speculation and timelines aside, I definitely think that the timing in which we are getting Booster Set 4 is definitely fitting in line with what I personally was thinking, and it kind of fits the norm of how the English markets for TCGs usually behave, which is a more stricter to a more 3-month schedule. And it's definitely really interesting to note that our pack size is also following the same as like a lot of English card games, where we prefer larger pack sizes than smaller pack sizes. Again, I don't know exactly how this is going to affect the pull rates, but either way, it's definitely really, really interesting to think about just the fact that we're going to be following a normal pattern and not having any of these special boosters anymore. And the game is just going to proceed like a normal game. And one last thing to take note of is we are also going to be getting the new starter decks at the same time as Booster Set 4, so we also have that to look forward to as well. So in English, the deck names are going to be called Gaia Green, Machine Black, and Venomous Violet. So they're the purple, green, and black starter decks respectively. And they're just going to contain the same things that the first starter decks had. So that also means that they're going to have a booster pack, and it says that the booster pack is going to be of version 1.0. So this means that we're not going to get a booster pack of 1.5 or a booster pack of BT04. It's going to be of the 1.0 booster box. So that's just one really interesting thing to note, is they're still going to be using those packs for the starter decks. But it's good that we're getting the starter decks at the same time as the booster box, because that's just more things to get excited about and more options to play around with right out of the gates. So that's kind of all I have for this video. If you do want to start to support the channel, I do have a TCG Player affiliate link down in the description below. So when the game finally comes out in English, you could buy all of your cards on TCG Player using this link, and you'll be supporting the channel. On top of which, I do design my own playmats, which I have partnered with Overcard Games over on Facebook, and they do have my first design for my first playmat out already, which is based on the Digimon fields or families. The first one is Nature Spirits. I'm working on the others as well, so stay tuned for that. But as always, feel free to tell me your thoughts down in the comments below, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you in the next video.